In line with the theme, Maximising Your Potential, we caught up with 3 members of our congregation who are doing exactly that. Here's what they had to say. Congratulations on publishing your brand new debut novel. Can you tell us a bit about the book?
Well, it's set in Lagos, where I grew up. There's a rich girl called Abike Johnson who comes from a very rich family. And she meets a street hawker on the side of the road and they strike up a sort of friendship.
Yeah. What was the inspiration behind the book?
I grew up in Lagos,
Yes.
So Lagos served as a huge inspiration because I wrote it when I was living in England and I was looking back at home nostalgically. It was very important for me to write a story that was set in my hometown.
So how long did it actually take you to write the novel?
To produce the first draft.
Okay.
That took me about 10 months, but then I worked on it for 6 months with my agent and 2.5 years with my editor.
So it's called The Spider King's Daughter. So where did it come from?
I hadn't written a single thing. A thought just came. You write a book called The Spider King's Daughter and here it is.
There it is. How did you manage to get it published?
So I had written 33 pages of the book.
Right.
And as happens with most first-time novelists, I just lost momentum and I couldn't go any further. And so I thought I'll send it off to an agent. And if the agent doesn't like it, I'm going to stop writing this book. And I sent it to only one agent. She read it, enjoyed it and asked for the rest of the book. To which I replied, there is no rest of the book, but I will now go off and finish writing the book and the rest is kind of history.
So can you explain a bit about, the costing side?
Once you go the traditional route of publishing, you don't actually pay anything, they pay you.
What?
they give you an advance to start working on the book with them. So the publishers, they pay for everything. So they design the cover, they've helped with publicity and pushing it in newspapers and that kind of thing. So no money needed.
How much of the story is actual fiction? Because there are a couple of scary characters that come up in the book.
Well, you'd be glad to know that none of the scary characters are based on family members. I mean, I go for readings sometimes. People ask me, is Mr. Johnson your dad? And I'm like, no.
Brother Johnson, can you stand?
He's not my dad.
How would you describe your writing style?
It's kind of asking, how would you describe your face? Kind of a difficult question to answer for yourself. So you leave readers to decide.
Is there a particular message that you want to convey to them?
Well, if you live in Lagos, the message I want to convey to you is be nice to hawkers, don't run off with their money. But if you don't live in Lagos, then you can take anything you want from the book.
Who would you consider your writing mentors?
Charles Dickens is, just one of my all-time favorite authors. And then there are also the African greats like Chinua Achebe, Wole Soyinka. They started telling stories about the Nigerian experience very early and they paved the way. Yes.
Have you got any other books in the pipeline?
I have to write a second book. It says so in my contract with Faber. But I'm enjoying writing the second book. Hopefully you see that in stores at some point in my life.
Are there any advice points you could give, do's and don'ts?
I would just recommend patience. The publishing industry is one that takes a lot of time. If you're in a rush to see your results, I suggest you try something else because if you want it to be good, it should take time.
Would you be able to share with us your favourite section from your book?
My favourite section of the book to write was actually the street scene where you meet the hawker for the first time. Kind of combines all the elements of Lagos I like. This is from there. The Datsun stopped abruptly, narrowly missing my legs. Clear from there, the driver said, banging on his horn. Are you mad? You know they see road. My friend, come out or I go jam you. You dey craze? Oh yeah, jam me. Come out. I said jam me today. The man swerved into the next lane. Idiot, he said. Your mama. I spread the 5 fingers of my right hand and spat. Fire for fire. That is the only way to survive on the road. When I first started, I used to mind my manners. Yes, please, no thank you, like my mother taught us. But those manners were for a boy who was meant to go to university and work in a law firm. She never told me what to do if a customer sprinted away with my money. She never gave me advice on how to handle the touts that came here sometimes, asking for tax.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So for those who don't know, you founded a social enterprise based in London called Elevation Networks. Can you tell us a bit about it?
Well, it's an organisation with the mission of helping to make young people more competitive in the labour market. So since inception, we've worked with around 40 organisations, have just under 8,000 members, 10 societies across the UK, and we're now delivering on local and national government contracts.
What inspired you to start this enterprise?
I've always been passionate about equality, and when I was younger, a lot of the people around me would find it very difficult to get jobs. So I wanted to find a way to make a difference.
How did you take that into starting this organisation that you have now?
I approached the bank for a partnership, and I told them, well, this is what I would like to deliver for you to help you get more women and more ethnic minorities into your workplace. And they ignored my approach. A month later, I approached them again. Within like a week, they had got back in contact, and to cut a long story short, we signed a partnership with them.
So is there anything else on the horizon?
I spend a lot of my time on various boards. I sit on the board of the Peace Alliance. I'm the co-chairman of the Spirit of London Awards Select Committee, which is the largest youth awards in the UK. And I'm involved in politics. I sit on the management board of the Tory Reform Group, and I work in Parliament for a member.
Wow. Can you tell us a bit about your journey from Elevation Networks into politics?
I always thought that my engagement with politics would be outside as opposed to inside, trying to influence the influencers. But I just kept feeling that I wanted to be more involved. I need to be in the system to be able to bring about the difference that I wanted. So in 2008, I joined the party that I currently work for. Since then, it's just been year on year, more and more progress.
So you've moved from owning your own company to working in politics under the leadership of somebody else. Can you tell us a bit about that dynamic?
When you're running your own business, you are your own boss. You have the flexibility to be able to make the decisions that you feel are best for your organisation. When you get more involved in politics, it's a bit more difficult because you have competing agendas. You also have people that are more senior to you, and you have to always try and find ways to navigate through that. But I always say that leadership is not necessarily about the position you have. It's always about the influence that you can exert.
You've managed to chart this course. Can you attribute that to the inspiration from role models?
I have many people that I've looked up to and I still look up to. Martin Luther, the great Christian reformer, is someone that I hold in very high regard. Martin Luther King Jr. is like my hero. I model a lot of my ideas around what he did, making faith relevant. William Wilberforce, of course, and in more modern day, Lord Heseltine, and people like Pastor Agnew, who I see as forerunners for people from ethnic minority backgrounds.
For somebody who's thinking about embarking on the journey that you've taken, what would you say to them?
Don't do it. It's tough. When I first started Elevation Networks, we only had an idea. And I ended up leaving university and for 2 years working very, very hard on trying to build up the business. I always tell people that want to start businesses because they see the successes that we've had, that you may not want to do it unless you really believe is what you're supposed to be doing. In terms of politics, I would say have a clear vision of what you want to achieve, a clear agenda, ideally a pure agenda. You know, what difference do you want to make? I would say always increase the knowledge because that is your competitive edge. When I sit in front of politicians, the only reason they give me time is because I know something that they want to know. Make sure you have a very powerful network that you've developed.
How important has a network been to where you are now?
It's one of the most important things you could have. You need people that are fundamental to your success around you for you to push on in life. And I always say you need 3 types of people in your life. People wiser than you, as Solomon says, the man that walks with wise men shall be wise. People that are on your level, who also share the same passion and desire to succeed. As iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. And then you need people you can teach, because as long as the earth shall remain, there shall be seed time and harvest. So the more you sow into making somebody else a success, the more hopefully you reap a harvest and become the success that we're all hopefully destined to be.
Thank you for sharing all of your insight and your wisdom. All the best with your political and business endeavours.
Thank you very much.
So I've heard there's a brand new board game on the market. Tell us about Meadowhall.
Meadowhall is a fun, entertaining and educative sports game which is full of twists and turns and can be played by literally anyone.
So what's the inspiration behind this game?
I was pregnant, woke up one morning and I just saw a circle and I just heard the word board game. So I drew the circle and it took off from there really.
So could you tell us a bit more about the name of the game?
Medal haul, a haul means your spoil, your harvest. And because it's a sports-related board game, a lot of times when you hear about sports-related activities, you can hear Great Britain's medal haul. And the word just sort of jumped out to me, and since I was looking for something that was sort of good in terms of the season, I took those two words and merged it into one word and just trademarked the name. So it means a spoil of medals, because what happens in the game is that you try and beat competitors by topping the medal tables.
How did you go about actualizing this concept?
I drew down the idea and worked on it on my computer, got a prototype made, got it tested, took it out, allowed people to see it, then took it to the manufacturers and developed it.
So how long has it taken you to get to this stage?
So far, it's been 18 long months.
So where would you say you are in the process?
Currently, the game has finished production, and the first batch has actually arrived by air this week, and the next batch is coming by sea. And so we're at the launch phase, I would say.
Who is it aimed for?
Age is 6+ to adults, but actually my daughter, she's 3 and she plays it. She's turned 4 now.
So what do you hope to achieve with this game?
Educative, entertaining, fun and inspiring. The reason why I say that, because it's a sport-related board game. It teaches you about sporting rules, and also it's a subtle way to tell children about the dangers or the consequences of drugs. It's entertaining because it's fun, full of twists and turns. I've got very good reviews from the play. It's a good way for families and people to come together, because nowadays everyone's so stuck in their iPad, whatever, and people are not spending time together. So it's a good way of bringing people together as well.
So how have you gone about marketing this and getting the word out?
My marketing strategy is mainly online, and the other thing I'm hoping to do is to have some adverts placed in some stations, and obviously word of mouth. So please spread the word, buy it, tell people about it, and I'm not just saying it because it's mine, but it is really fun.
So what inspired you? Do you have role models that helped?
In terms of the game, I would say the inspiration could only be from God. The person I've gained inspiration from is a lady called Rebecca Lowy, who developed the board game, and she was on Dragon's Den. In terms of me personally, I think what I do is that I look at people and look at different stories and use them as a source of inspiration for myself. And then also in the way I was brought up, my parents work hard. I think that has been a good inspiration for me as well.
So for people who may be thinking about birthing an idea, wanting to know how, do you have any advice based on your journey? Do's, don'ts?
I'd say don't keep the idea in your head. The Bible clearly states write the vision. So write it down, do your research. There are a lot of materials available now online. You don't need to go to the library nowadays. Sleepless nights though, but make inquiries, research, business link. There are a lot of resources out there. Read, know your competitors, know about what you're getting yourself into. Once you've done that, just run, run, run.
Well done and congratulations.
Thank you.
And we pray all the best success for your board game.
Amen. Thank you very much.
Lagos.
Well, I've always been
I
passionate
woke
about
up
quality.
one morning
And when I
and I
was
just
younger,
saw
a lot of
circle
the young
and I
people,
just
a lot of
see
people
this
around me
board
would find
game.
very
So I drew the
different
circle
to
and it
A
took
whole
me.
person.